All right. So, so like I was saying earlier, it's been a minute since we've played, and we did do a quick refresher last week to kind of get us all back on the same page. Um, so,
There we go.
oh, everything okay?
Yeah. Now you can see it.
Yes, yes, very good. Okay. In part because it's been a while and the flow is not quite there. Like I said, I've uh, pre-written some cutscenes that, and it always feels a little bit awkward to be reading from a thing, but you know, um, I I'm not trusting myself to bring my A game at the moment. So we will use the tools.
Using.
Okay. So um, when we last left off, we had the group basically in three different locations. We had Colin, who had just been dropped off at the compound with his father, uh, the the base of the Huntsman militia, and Colin and his father were walking into the compound itself when we last saw them. When we last saw Frankie, they were being picked up by Elle, who was driving Frankie and Todd to the compound, but they had not quite arrived yet. Um, and when we last saw Andy and Cordelia, Andy was quite thoroughly high, um, and they were working together to puzzle out who this LJ person was, using Andy's memories of business associates of their moms. So that's kind of just real briefly where everything is. Um, so um, does anybody have a preference in terms of whose scene we start with?
Nope.
I'm good.
Good DM. Do it.
Okay. All right. I will start with the one that I had notes on first. Um, so Colin, we'll jump to you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I think this will give a good segue into Frankie, and then we will jump over to Andy and Cordelia.
Sure.
So, like many of the buildings in the compound, the militia's main hall used to be something else in the old days of the town. Originally a mess hall for the lumber yard, the building has been burned down and rebuilt a few times. In its current iteration, it's more or less used as a conference hall, with wall decor being somewhere between a hunting lodge and an underfunded VA. There's an old projector that they still manage to have technical difficulties with, and a ton of ratchety metal folding chairs all throughout the room. Um, there are more chairs than there are actual militia members, and quite frequently the chairs are stacked against the wall in uneven piles. Right now there's a space cleared in the center with the chairs in a circle facing in. It almost looks kind of like an AA meeting, and the table by the entrance with stale coffee and the kind of pastries that might have been bought on discount at a gas station don't really shake that image for you, Colin. Um, a couple of the men ambling around are militia members, but most of the people that are there right now, and there's probably about like 25 people in the room with you, other than your father. Um, most of them are members of the pack. That most of them are fellow werewolves. And you can tell like almost immediately because the militia members have this kind of like clean cut feel to them, like they're ready for inspection.
Sure.
Like though the ones that do have facial hair, it's very like neatly trimmed, like it's, you know, they're operating at a certain level of you know, that kind of professional vibe. The members of the pack, not so much.
Tend towards the hairy side. Then.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Sure.
And actually, as you're looking around, you're getting first impression. Like some of these werewolves or some of these pack members, you recognize. You've seen them around. Like they've been by the house.
Sure.
You've seen your father hanging out with them. But a fair number of them you've never seen before.
Okay.
And you can't help but wonder what percentage of Loxvale's homeless population is in this room right now at this very moment.
Sure.
It occurs to you that like you, your father, Elle, and some of the other members of the pack that you're familiar with are the ones, like there's a fair degree of integration, whereas there are some werewolves in the community that have essentially retained a degree of like being on the outskirts. They're in the city, but they're not, you know, not doing the thing.
Sure.
So as you and your father walk in and you are taking all of this in, your father starts going around and making introductions. A couple, like I said, a couple of them you've already met, and the ones that like have paid less attention to the conventions of the town. He starts introducing you to them as well.
Okay.
And broadly speaking, the part of the vibe that you're getting here is that they like there had been that false alarm that you guys had set off in the construction site. And broadly speaking, they've all kind of come to the conclusion that, well, that was the excitement for the night. So we're gonna have to just pivot and rely on the trap tomorrow and try to go from there. Which means that all that's left for tonight is this big news that one of the wards is going to be dropping off his brother for allegedly being the one that started all of this mess. So a lot of the introductions are kind of couched in that. You know, it is a return to like sympathies for your loss, and we're gonna get the bastard, and all of these kinds of things that you would expect. And I'll note that while there is a general degree of gruffness and machismo that is kind of ambient, like pretty much everybody in there is interacting with each other on the same level.
Right.
Right.
One thing that I will awkwardly bring up is, people are doing the whole grief thing. I'm so sorry for your loss. We're gonna get the bastard. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into character, Colin is still, he's not in the grips of the drink anymore, but he's still a little tipsy.
Yeah, actually, go ahead.
This kind of thing is more aggravating than anything else. And at one point, obviously we're not role playing through all of the introductions,
Mm-hmm.
but at one point he'll be like, "Wait, hold hold on. All you people came after the alarm, which meant that all you people have been to the site. Who's actually seen the issue? Anybody here? Anybody here actually seen what you're so afraid of people seeing?
Okay.
At the site? Anyone give me some actual details?
Sure. So here's a question. Like, I can see this going too. Like, this feels you are confronting this entire group.
Yeah,
And
whole room. Whole
so-
room. No, no tact.
oh yeah. So my question is, do you think this feels more like a gaze into the abyss where you're legitimately like you want them to tell you things, or is this a shutting them down and you are shaming them in the form of a question?
Oh God, it's both. Okay. I think he thinks it's looking for the thing, but I think it's more him lashing out of that emotional need to shut them down and shame them.
Okay.
So he thinks it's doing the one, but it's really doing the other.
Sure. No, that totally makes sense. Okay. Let's see. And your cold is -1?
Well, wait, cold, not dark, right?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what the die had to say about this. I imagine that situationally and in the context of Colin, this makes sense. So, we'll see. It is a 6 on the die.
Well, at least I got an experience.
Yes. Yeah, so like the kind of the way I'm picturing this, and like that's one of those moments that if you had gotten that role, like your esteem in the pack would like, you know,
Risen.
immediately risen. As is, you're this kid, and they all know, that you're like this is your mom that they're talking about, right?
Right.
And so there is a degree of like they have a script for what you're doing,
Right.
and the whole reason why they weren't wanting to bring you and your father in on this thing was because of this script that they knew would come out.
Sure.
So rather than them like turning around and feeling castigated or shamed, and instead of giving good answers to your questions directly, one of them goes over and pours a thing of water into one of those disposable cups and like gets a plate of crackers and brings it over to you.
Damn.
Yeah. and there you kind of get the feel that like you're not losing face by doing this, and most of them know, like the ones that are the most in the loop know that, like actually I'd say maybe like 4 or 5 of them know that the reason why the Ward brothers being handed over is because you insisted that L go up the chain.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of them don't really know that connection. So they, in their mind, this is just okay. We're gonna kind of stand around a little awkwardly. We're gonna stop with the, I'm sorry to hear that. And you're in the midst of this awkwardness. Your father pipes up with the like, my son took on Red Jack by himself. and, and they start trying to awkwardly, shift into this like pseudo like, taking care of the little pup, as well as, oh well, that's really impressive, and just avoiding the topic altogether.
Uh, uh, so here's the internal conflict. He wants to smack the crackers out of the dude's hand
Uh-huh.
and walk and storm out.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, he is in fact getting along up the chain and if he can keep his fucking cool, will like do the thing. But I don't just want to like, roll just to roll.
Sure.
And this isn't really like a pivotal moment. It's just the internal struggle of the teenager who's not used to reining in his anger.
Sure.
Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, I guess he'll just grab the drink angrily from the guy, like just a little, like too forcefully, and drink the rest of the water and be like, I guess I should sober up, and like drop the cup and walk out. Like, I assume we'll see the person walking in.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll walk outside to the cool air and away from these people, while he waits for the head to actually get there.
Sure.
Literal cooldown.
Yeah, a literal cool down.
Yes, that completely makes sense, and there is enough ambient sympathy for where you're at, that you're given space,
Right.
because like when a member of the pack like distances themselves because they're feeling emotional, that's generally a thing to be respected.
Sure.
You're allowed to go do the lone wolf thing for a little bit to
Sure.
but I will like I mentioned that there were a small handful of them that knew that that you were the cause of them being gathered here for justice tonight.
Uh-huh.
And so as the crowd is like, a couple of them, or like a fair number of them, move on to other topics, the like going ons and so on and so forth, and asking each other about their opinions of this whole ward thing. But as some of them are still, like, as your father is still trying to talk about like how his son took on Red Jack solo, like, as that conversation is going on, there are kind of whispers among the people that were more in the know about like how how Colin had forced this confrontation that led to the availability of the justice.
Sure.
Okay. All right. In that case, that's a good moment to jump over to Frankie. And Frankie, when we last saw Frankie, it had been a wonderful little one-liner, where Elle had asked if you were a good kid, and you had said that you weren't sure if you were a kid at all, and Elle affirmed that he wasn't sure either. So the next obvious place to jump to, unless there's anything in particular that you want to have happen during that car ride, I imagine that the important conversation for the camera to capture was that one.
As far as I can figure out, yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, fan fell, or the light fell over.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, when we next see Frankie, Elle and Todd and Frankie have arrived at the compound itself. And Frankie, I'm not sure if you've been to the compound before. Probably not.
Wouldn't think.
It prior to the Huntsman militia moving back into it, it was kind of used as one of the many kinds of places that teens would dare each other to go. It was the site of the first known instances of the trees bleeding, and there are still piles of like tall piles of downed trees that were the first ones to do the bleeding that just never got shipped off, and that are remarkably preserved. One of the first things that you notice as you get out of the truck along those lines is that there is kind of a coppery scent to the compound, and you recognize that the space itself feels a little ethereal. Like there's something about it that doesn't quite sync up. Elle is going to nod to Todd and tell him to go to the main hall. That the action's going to start pretty soon. And then he begins to suggest that he'll take you to Tristram's office. As you start walking towards that main building in the compound, though, to your surprise, standing outside of just outside the building, there in fact is a Cowlin.
Hey,
Hey, Frankie! Oh, I'm so glad you made it out alive. Come here. And I will like walk up and give her a big hug. And is she next? Is the axe guy still with her?
He was moving to separate, but yeah, he's pretty much right there.
Sure. Give her a big hug. So glad you made it. Oh, I was worried about you with the the whole like being chased by an axe murderer guy and like point. I guess he's less murder and just axe wielder. I don't.
He gets a truly bashful smile on his face as you're describing him as an axe murderer.
Huh. Good for you. How'd that go?
well, but safely here, I guess.
Good. Well, lots of militia people, but also like werewolves inside who, are interested in finding out why. I don't know. There's a lot to it, but basically, we're waiting on one of the Wades. Wait, no,
Wards.
wards. One of the wards to show up, who is supposed to explain exactly what happened, and with the whole like car accident, mom dying. Now there's a spirit of some kind at the school thing going on, and he's supposed to give us answers. So that's something. And other than that, I'm just real glad to see you. See that you made it out. Do you? I heard from the other two, they made it out too. So it seems like everybody's safe tonight.
Good. That's good. Todd said that he thought I should meet Mr. Tristram. Tristram?
Tristram.
I think he's going to be here too.
Yeah.
So
that is a beautiful segue moment, because since we have two of the party members or two of the players like in that spot mentioning him by name, and he's already on the grounds, there is just a ping on your internal radars that there is somebody behind, like, that is just out of nowhere appears. Like, you may have had the door to the main hall in your sight, but you did not see him go through it. As far as you know, he is just there all of a sudden. And sure enough, it's the amount of presence that this person has gives that immediate, like, there is an air of leadership to this person that is palpable, that is undeniable. Unto himself, he's fairly plain looking. He looks like somebody, like late 30s, early 40s, but he's in that age range where it's really kind of hard to define.
Sure.
Right. He's a mature man, but beyond that, it's and he has shoulder length hair that in some circles would be noteworthy, but it's pulled back into a small ponytail, and he's he's wearing basically like winter camo, so like it's and amusingly, like for like it has all of the bulk for warmth, but it's still a green and yellow patterning on it, despite the fact that everywhere around you is snow covered.
Sure.
Okay.
Do we recognize him? Have we met him before?
Neither of you have met him before, but you immediately have a sense. They're like both like on an instinctive level, as well as based on how Elle and Todd respond to him being there.
Oh, okay.
Elle immediately says, "Mr. Tristram, this is the kid that we were telling you about." And he points to, or he gestures, not points, he broadly gestures towards Frankie.
Have a moment where, like, as he's saying, "This is the kid we're talking about," and starts to gesture, I'd like start to step forward and shake his hand, and that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does Frankie respond to this?
Hi.
Just kind of freeze.
She doesn't know what to do. that's it. Just hi.
Okay. Well, actually, I have a thing custom made for this, so let's take a look.
All right.
Meeting Tristram. Roll volatile or dark. By default, Tristram gains a string on you, considers you a threat, and doesn't have time to deal with you personally. On a 10 plus, choose 2. On a 7 through 9, choose 1.
Okay.
Who wants to go first? It kind of looked like you were up, Frankie.
I think so. Yeah, check something real quick.
Sure.
We're definitely going on dark.
On dark?
Yep.
Okay, you got a 2 on that one?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So with an 11 on the die, you make an exceptionally good impression on Tristram, despite the fact that from Elle's tone of voice, he knows that you're trouble.
Right.
So choose 2. He does not gain a string on you. You gain a string on him. He wants to recruit you. He wants to figure you out, and he does not consider you a threat.
Oh. He wants to figure me out. Definitely that one.
Uh-huh.
And I'm torn between he doesn't get a string on me or I get one on him.
Sure.
Oh, I don't know which way to go on that one. Yeah, he doesn't get a string on me.
Okay.
That's why he wants to figure me out.
Right. Okay. So he, as Elle introduces Frankie to Mr. Tristram, Tristram steps forward and goes to offers to shake your hand, and says that Toddy here has said some pretty impressive things about you, and I get the feeling that for once he might be onto something. And his hand is still extended.
Oh, yeah. I do the handshake thing. And it's like, yeah, he said some pretty nice things about you too. Seem to think that meeting you might be good for me.
I think that he's right. Well, the boys have some things to see to, but they don't really involve me so much. So if you want to, if Elle can take you to my office, and I'll be there in a moment, and we can have a chat.
I'll kind of look over at Colin like, what do I do? I'm like,
See
Yeah.
that, and I'll step forward and just be like, yeah, sure, we'd enjoy that. And I'll reach out and say, so you're Tristan, I'm calling. And I'll
Okay.
shake his hand.
kind of relaxes a little. Frankie relaxes a little bit.
Let's see how Tristram feels.
She doesn't know what to do.
Okay, a 10 on the die. You get to choose 2 as well.
Sweet. What are the options again?
He does not gain a string on you. You do gain a string on him. He wants to recruit you. He wants to figure you out, and he does not consider you a threat.
I'm gonna gain a string on him,
Okay.
and the problem with Treatment wanting to figure me out is I'm fucking like, I'm not a puzzle. I'm real simple. So I get a string on him, and he does not gain a string on me.
Okay, that's a kind of a neutral engagement there.
No, I would come ahead because I'd have a string on him.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
He can think whatever he wants, but he may think of me as a threat. I don't know. All I know is I took control of the situation. Damn it, dominance.
Sure.
And Frankie is grateful.
And he does not gain strings on anybody in this encounter, which is somewhat shocking to him. That is not how that usually goes. He as you step in to shake his hand, he like just for a moment instinctively withdraws his hand, like he doesn't want to agree to a thing that wasn't on his terms.
Right.
And like then like it kind of processes that. I mean, you're you know, you're the kid who lost the mom, and like all of this other business is, you know, kind of revolving around you.
And as that's happening, I will be grabbing his hand, mostly oblivious at him not fully extending his.
uh Okay. Um, and so in response to that, like as he kind of like he had completely anticipated that you would be like in among the pack, and that would be, you know, your thing. He knew that you knew each other, but he was not expecting you to be standing outside when he met Frankie and made introductions.
Don't expect an ambush.
Right. So much to his surprise, you catch him in kind of this awkward space where he rules of hospitality are such that he doesn't feel like he can deny this. And you two are friends, and you know, since you have so much sway in how the evening's going to turn out anyway, he nods to Elle. Would you show both of them to my office? um, and you like after he says that, he like, and make sure to tell me when the wards get here. And Elle nods and proceeds to like he was expecting this with Frankie, but you know, this is a turn of events that he's kind of like the brashness of this kid.
Well, yeah, especially when I respond right after he says that too. Yeah, us too. To L.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so Elle, oh, considering that Elle is expecting Tristram to be in the room with you when he comes to announce, again, you have put yourself in a position where he doesn't have any reason to reject your suggestion. It's rather the most natural outcome. So, okay, he's just a little confused with the power dynamic right now.
It's us shaking up the power dynamics.
Herbs are all about dominance.
And so I think, unless you guys have a specific thing you want to throw in there, the last thing that we would see would be a shot of Tristram in the foreground as Elle leads the two of you into the building, and Elle or Tristram looking at Todd and like betraying a certain amount of frustration. Like Toddy is standing there almost like he's like he feels like he should be expecting orders or something like that, and is looking to Tristram, and Tristram just, get the hell in there, and then just stands there by himself for a moment.
Cool.
Which would jump us over to Andy and Cordelia. So when we last left off, Andy and Cordelia were combining their efforts to kind of get a feel for who this new accountant is. And Andy, you're gonna actually, well, no, you already did the gaze into the abyss roll.
Yeah, we I think we succeeded on that.
Yeah, you succeeded really well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. There's a reason why you were like, I gotta wait on that. I gotta think of it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So the accountant in question is a young man in his mid-20s, and your mom had done some work with him. He at the time had been, excuse me, employed by the Amati estate. And he was this young, ambitious fellow that was consistently sent to shadow senior accountants. And specifically, like, he kept being sent to shadow these senior accountants on things that you probably wouldn't have the interns that deep into the stuff. But Lamont had begun developing a reputation of seeing things and figuring out puzzles and loopholes and like all those kinds of things that the senior accountants had missed. So while nominally this was an extension of him interning, he was in fact like one-upping the established members of the firm. And that had actually led to a little bit of frustration. Your mom had mentioned it, that this was this really promising kid that wasn't quite getting his due. The upper, like, straight from like Amati, was to put him on all these things, and the middle management just got annoyed with the meddling, but did not dare refuse. And so after a while of that, he ended up being headhunted by Morningstar Industries. So it's been a couple of years since he did any work directly with your mom. With that now conceivably changing now that the Morningstars are making inroads into Loxvale.
Okay. Kind of drawing a blank on how that would like integrate to the scene. Other than it just kind of like flashing past Cordelia as information intake since we linked up for the Gaze into the Abyss.
Yeah. Well, and you guys had like, as I recall, you had been like one of the things you had done has been like surfing through like Facebook and social media and things like that. Okay. So there
Maybe
is
that was something. I don't know if it was for that.
I think it was.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I was just trying to remember.
Sure. So there is room to insert some things about this fellow, like just the visual of the you like two teens surfing through all of these headshots and such until the right one just comes to Andy through this insightful haze as Andy connects with the universe itself and sees the tendrils of fate that interweave everything.
AKA Andy's high AF.
And like one of the ways that that this is that Lamont is it like before the rest of it even clicks. I mentioned the tendrils of fate. There's a tendril that goes that connected to his profile in the shape of a little heart around his photo.
Are you trying to imply that Andy liked him or that?
No, not necessarily. It's it is amorphous.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do with that piece of flavoring because that was not something I was expecting. I'm sorry. I'm really tired.
Sure.
I'm just like, yeah.
Okay. And we can soften that a little bit.
Like everything that you've said sounds like somebody that either Andy would not have actually paid that much attention to at the time, or would have maybe been a little bit either envious or impatient with.
Sure, sure.
It doesn't sound like somebody that he'd be predisposed to be fond of, given the situation with his mom lately and how he feels about the business dealings up until very recently with Mr. Amati himself.
Sure, sure.
Like, he hasn't had enough time for that, all of that stuff to pivot.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so all the same, this is the profile that you're able to identify. And as I recall, Cordelia, one of the things that you had been wondering about would be, what kinds of places he goes to and things like that. So as you kind of do a cursory glance through his Facebook, there's a couple of shots of himself at bars that he's been to since he's been back.
That would be a different how you'd go from what I was just talking about. If there was a heart thing, is if he's hanging out at bars, did he run in any of the same musician circles that in his off hours?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think from like Cordelia's perspective, I think she's really just wanting to know, like, can she figure out like where to find this guy so she could maybe like get a little like closer and get more information.
Sure. You're able to identify like what
It sounds like that'll be the answer to that question. Depends on how good your fake ID is.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like one of those, Andy could tell you where this bar was, and hope your fake IDs are good enough, just close to close, that nobody questions, since it's already wee hours of the morning.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and Andy, you will recognize the bar that he's hanging out with is kind of a local hotspot for regional musicians. Like, it's a fairly small establishment. You're not going to have major names go through there, but like, I can't remember the name of the major town. There's a fairly decent sized actual city that is not too far away from Locksvale. This is the kind of place where bands that are regional enough that they'll go to the main city or the big city, but they'll stop here. And like Logan.
Thursday night gigs.
Right.
What day of the week or what day is it right now? Do we know?
I
got the feeling it was later in the week.
We're still on the same night that we've been on for a while. It's like 1 a.m. right now. The next day, I think.
I did 2020. That's all. It just seems to last forever.
Right. I believe it was the last day before the planets changed. I think that day was supposed to be a Friday, so this would be like the week.
Okay, so it's not quite like, they might actually not be that close to closing, depending on the bar and how late they're willing to stay open for music sets.
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday, right? Like it feels like it's Thursday.
I think Thirsty Thursday, I think we need to check out this bar and see if he just happens to be there.
Sure.
Season finale thing for a teen drama that you like.
Okay, but what about Abby then?
Hinges on getting into a
Yeah,
bar.
so fucking Abby. Abby, goddammit.
Is the Nature for Crisis something where we could be like, okay, I guess you're coming clubbing with us? Maybe we can kill two birds with one stone.
I feel like if we go help Abby now, we're definitely not going to make it to this bar before they close.
Right.
What did Abby's text say again?
It said please help, with like please spelled PLZ.
Okay, Logan did promise to take Andy to all of the good parties this summer, or this season. So we could try and bank on that being like a hook for next season, and like there's supposed to be another concert next week. Let's go help the person who sent the urgent text.
Hey, listen, we can go help Abby, but I swear to God, if she's not really in trouble, she's going to be. Like,
There we go.
if she's not dying,
She loses all of her hair.
Meanwhile, Abby has accidentally summoned a duck demon.
Actually, at that moment, you will get another text from Abby that has a dubiously spelled Devil's Rock, and that's all it says.
right, let's go.
Okay, so that's
Tell her we're on our way.
okay. And the
Turns out she actually wants to use you as a human sacrifice.
there, you know that thing.
If she wants to fight, I'll throw hands. By hands, I mean X's.
It gives that indication that she's typing.
Okay, the three little dots.
Yeah, it does that, and it keeps doing that, and it keeps doing that,
Oh.
and it keeps doing that.
Are we gonna deal with the part where his dad is still awake and
Yes, yeah. The moment you guys are ready to leave the room is the moment that Andy's father will conveniently show up. But yeah, if you like, the longer you wait with the ... the more it feels like it's just like maybe the signal cut out in an awkward way or something like that. But either Abby is writing a novel for you, which is in stark contrast to the way that she was spelling words, simplifying words down to 3 letters, or there's some sort of technological hijink happening.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you two are planning on going to Devil's Rock to see what the hell's up with Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, I won't play it in the way that, like, you know, it's not like Andy's father was like walking up to the door, like it's nothing quite that, but like he was passing by, like as you exit the room, and just through the corner of his eye, and he's ready to go to bed. He's absolutely ready to go to bed. He's staying up because he wants to make sure that Andy's safe.
Okay. If it's a Friday night though, actually I'm thinking he's not gonna be that much of a he's gonna be used to Andy going out for gigs.
Well,
and
it's a
stuff.
Thursday night. It's Friday, like super early in the morning.
Oh, Thursday night. Okay, yeah, he's gonna be a little bit more dubious of that.
Still
Like,
school night.
Yeah. And you know, and it also gives him an excuse to put in some more you know, like just casual time. But yeah, so as the two of you exit the room, he will catch a glimpse of the two of you, and like you know, respond by, "Oh, Andy, I didn't see you get in. Hey," and waving.
I'm picturing someone like one doorway away in a hallway.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because like 1, Andy's still high. 2, Andy doesn't like lying to their dad. And like, I don't know if you have what you're aiming for with the, like, if you have something planned with the dad interaction, so I don't want to.
It's all open for shifting.
I feel like there should be some sort of. I think Andy's gonna have to roll to keep their cool.
Okay. So when we go for that angle, name what you're afraid of and roll cold. What is Andy afraid of in this moment?
I think he has an instinct that they're in over there, like they've stumbled across something big, and there's a real sense of urgency, and like we need to take care of this tonight. But also he's high. I don't think he's going to be that clear on what he's afraid of.
Sure.
Afraid Dad will notice he's high, maybe?
No, that wouldn't necessarily be new to Dad.
And another way you can also think of this as the question of what should Andy be afraid of?
Well, he doesn't know it, but what he should be afraid of is his dad actually calling his mom after they leave. But
okay.
Anything that drives him to cooperate at this point is uh-oh territory.
Uh-huh.
And the whole thing where technically the car that Andy drives is a privilege from his mom's family.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what he thinks he's afraid of is that they're not going to be able to like help or contribute or whatever. Or maybe he's afraid that that's going to be like the last. Actually, if he lies, like that's going to be the last straw. In they've had a kind of weird relationship lately, and he doesn't want to be the one to put the nail in the coffin, especially when up till now he's felt like that's been more on his dad than him.
Sure. So on a little bit more meta level, the thing Andy should be afraid of is that Andy's father and Andy's mother will compare notes and see what's going on. And on the direct level, the thing that Andy is actually freaking out, like trying to not freak out about in that moment, is putting that nail in the coffin of like completely straining the relationship to the point that like values are not upheld and things just go wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is a cold, so it is a -1 for Andy. So
5.
Mark experience.
Oh no.
Yet, oh yay, at the same time.
Right. Well, there's a move that it would be really handy if we had before the season finale. So like, yeah, yeah, yay.
up the experience, sure. Okay. So yeah, so I described that he was kind of waving from like the far end of the house in this kind of like exaggerated dorky way. What exactly is Andy's response to this? Like the physical response before Andy knows that things are going to go sideways.
I think kind of a rather like high, slightly disassociated, like freeze moment, like oh.
Right. The
because his dad's pretty permissive about a lot of things, but like high on a school night and obviously going back out.
A little bit of a stretch, and right. Especially when you're acting a little weird. Right.
Well, and whether or not like he has that new token from the Amati family, So actually, that was probably the thing that he should have been afraid of, was not even that his parents would cooperate, but that his dad would spot that and have any idea what it was.
Sure.
And subsequently be pissed AF about things that are way over Andy's head.
Sure. Okay, so the way that plays out is that Andy has that freeze moment, and Cordelia, you, I think of all the characters in the group, Cordelia is the one who has the most experience being a kind of sneaky, doing their own thing behind the adults' backs. So Cordelia is able to immediately recognize that like that alarm has just gone off in Andy's father's head, that like Andy's acting weird, and like there's a level of focus that enters the picture, and he starts walking.
Jump in? Can she like try to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy's all for this. Andy's probably frantically going, help me.
As Andy's father is approaching, and this is part of how you can tell that he has gone from like permissive cool dad to like concerned dad. He is asking as he is walking towards you very directly, like no waver in his stride. So looks like you guys are going back out. Where are you going?
Oh my gosh. Our friend, she texted us, and I think she's having trouble with her boyfriend. She's just really upset, and we just have to go talk her down.
Okay. What is Cordelia afraid of right now?
Not getting there in time to help Abby.
Okay. So this will be another keep your cool roll. And it's 5 on the die.
Ah, dang it.
Which
cool.
Everybody, there is nobody in this group that is good at keeping their cool. Nobody. All of you have a -1.
Oh my god.
Not when the moon's out.
Could I try to seduce him now?
Oh, in front of Andy. That's the moment to do that. Go for it.
Well, while he is in like edging into like uber concerned parent mode, that's
Yep.
So make sure to mark experience.
Yep.
Although since he has clocked that we're both off, maybe if we somehow manage to figure out something else we can roll where we like conveniently turn up the distress, so the like we're worried about our friend seems real pressing.
Well, like I said,
I could use my sympathetic. No, I can't. Never mind.
You know what doesn't seem like a pressing issue to a concerned father at 1 a.m? Boyfriend dramas of a random friend.
Well, okay, we could
be like, that would be like, oh, like that's, I don't know anything about that. Like,
right.
You go do it. So my other thought was that I have this, like, I could, but, well, no, I can't. If Andy gets a period, that's gonna be distressing on an entirely different level. I can't do that.
Sure.
I guess I could like make.
Well, this is really shitty, but I guess you could raise the stakes on the boyfriend and be like, we don't know if he's like, if she's cool around him or something. Be like, this is not a matter of like regular boyfriend drama. This is a matter of.
Oh shit. I don't know. What can I do now that
He's been dating this married guy, and we're really worried.
She's dating a married man. She's dating one of our teachers, and.
Oh no! Don't go there.
Oh, that is.
Just so you know, our favorite teacher is fired.
Okay, but in any case, so there's a roll of a total of 4 on the die, and the thing that you were saying is that we have this friend who's having boyfriend drama, and we're worried that she might be in danger, so we gotta go help her. And your fear was not getting to Abby in time.
Right.
So Andy's father is going to continue walking, right? And again, as an indication of he's entering concerned parent mode, he did not stop walking towards you as you were talking to him. So he is now just a couple a respectful distance, but authoritative distance away from you guys. He says, "Oh, boyfriend drama. I remember being that age. That sucks. Something that he had to take care of at 1:20 in the morning."
Do I need to call the cops? Maybe we failed this role by actually making him too concerned.
Comes with us. He gets in the car with us.
Yeah.
He drives. He's like, where are we going?
I don't think you should be doing. You clearly need a sober adult handling the situation.
And at that point, he in fact is going to notice the charm that had been given to Andy.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
And is going to glance at it, and then glance at Andy and Cordelia, and between the haze of drugs and just being fairly close with your father, this could go either way. Cordelia is going to clock pretty quickly that Andy's father's expression kind of hardens, right? Like the eyes kind of squint a little as he his gaze turns more piercing. And as the third party person who is used to reading people just in general, Cordelia is able to pick up on that. Andy, on the one hand, this is your father. You know his tells pretty well. On the other hand, you're also familiar enough with him to not notice things, and you're high. Which way does it go for you?
I think I'm trying to figure out if I want to roll something or if I just want to spin a thing. Can I roll gaze into the abyss on my dad?
Oh yeah. It's gaze into the abyss is basically almost any circumstance in which you're trying to get information, whether it is doing gumshoe legwork or your intuition telling you out of the blue what it is. So when you gaze into the abyss, name what you're looking for and roll dark.
I'm looking for an instinct to push me one way or the other as far as the best way to either get him on our side or to not interfere.
Okay.
If it's more dangerous to placate him with a half truth or if it's more dangerous to just like spill the beans.
Sure. So what is your dark currently?
Let me scroll down. I don't think it's changed. It's still -1.
-1. Okay. All right, a 7 on the die, -1. Mark experience.
Hey, you get that new ability, right?
Yep. Reset for next scene.
All right. Yeah. So you have clocked that the stakes are high with your father at this moment, and having just spent like maybe 15 to 20 minutes communing with the universe and watching the tendrils of fate point you in the right direction, like I'm picturing Andy like really like Andy's father had started to like squint a little bit and that kind of like concern. I'm picturing Andy like much more exaggerated, just like
Either that or like way overselling the wide-eyed puppy dog look.
Sure. But either way, as you're looking at your father, you see you see these tendrils of fate, and they're going literally every direction. And so in much the same way that there was one instance where Colin was trying to do a similar thing and like was overwhelmed with the possibilities, like you see, like in terms of like what's the better or the more dangerous option, you are cascaded with all of the dangers and all like to the point that it's hard to even identify which ones go in which path, right?
Right.
So Andy's father, so okay, well, if this is serious enough for you guys, do we need to call the cops?
I don't know if that would help the situation any, but I need a water. I promise it's important, and I promise Cordelia's the one driving.
Okay.
Good thinking.
He starts walking towards the kitchen, but is like looking over his shoulder at you guys and continue to talk. So where is this this friend that you're going to go help?
Oh, actually, since Andy doesn't have a phone, Andy can honestly say, I don't know. We just know that she needs help. I don't think she's at home. The thing with his dad is like his dad knows what promises mean on the thing. So the fact that Andy's offering.
Okay. You hear the faucet turn on and the water running. And he walks back with some over-the-counter medicine to help with it a little bit, and hands them both to you. If it's really this serious, I think that I should go with you guys. And he goes to the closet and puts on his jacket. And he looks to Cordelia, like, Andy said that you're driving. I'm cool with that, but And if it's the kind of thing that you guys like, having an adult around would be more trouble than it's worth, we can park the car a block or two away. But I want to be there to, you know. And he's putting on, his coat.
Yeah, let's go.
And he fishes into his coat pocket and pulls out a set of keys and hands it to Cordelia and starts walking to the front door. And like I think that's a fairly good image to end on. But if you guys want, like, he has left you a little bit behind him as he's walking forward. So if you have something in mind that you want to throw in there, by all means.
Maybe. Can I have as he's like putting on his coat before he like walks ahead of us, he hands Andy a pair of boots and is like, put on warmer shoes.
Yes, yeah. I'm down for that. Okay. Yeah. So the last shot will be, he's walking by, he pauses, and he he gestures to the boots that are by the door to like, and tells Andy to put on some warmer boots. All right. Okay. So I don't want to do a full scene here because we're getting into that territory, and we had already established that we're all, like, most of us are kind of stressed and tired. But I do want to jump back to Elle has just escorted Frankie and Cowlin to Mr. Tristram's office. And you two are going to be left there, for a little bit. This is a couple minutes, but so Tristram's office is fairly plain. It gives the impression of a man that doesn't really care to make this place his own. The most noteworthy things are a matching set of oversized mirrors, one mounted behind his desk and the other on the opposite wall. Anyone sitting on either side of the desk would see 1,000 of themselves stretching into infinity. Beyond the most basic decor, the only other things in the room of note are an assortment of weapons, throwing knives, bladed weapons, guns of various sizes, and varying states of disassembly. For all that the place seems void of the usual markers of identity, the office feels somewhat otherworldly, like a space just outside of the normal, not tethered by any one identity. And so the two of you are kind of given free rein in there for a couple of minutes. There's his desk that is towards one side, and it looks like 20 years ago it was a nice office chair, but there is duct tape on parts of it, and it looks like it was probably a thrift store find. Then there's his desk that has the most disassembled guns on it. No paperwork, no computer, just weapons that have been disassembled.
This weird infinity mirror thing going on.
Right. And there are a couple of chairs directly on the other side of the desk, and then on the far end there is a couch.
Are we gonna play around in the scene, or does that?
Yeah. You guys, like, we're not gonna do a big huge thing, but you guys are there.
Real quick, the first thing we'll do is Colin will go over to the bladed weapons and be like, and check them out. Are they silver, or are they like are they Bud K shit, or are they like some sort of special, awesome, cool thing?
Um, let me consult the dice on that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
Um, like as you're looking through them, most of them are just standard old weapons. There's nothing particularly arcane or special about them. There is a one or two that seem to have something a little special, like silver or things like that. But like there is like one of the throwing daggers happens to be like have a silver blade on it, but most of them, no, that's not the case.
Okay, and are there any like stakes, like what you would use on a vampire?
No, there aren't any stakes in the room.
Uh, I I may go ahead and take the silver throwing knife.
Okay.
Uh, and not likely something he'll notice right away. And then walk over and see if there is ammunition lying around anywhere, along with these decommissioned guns.
There in fact is.
There, in fact, is.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
This place is not set up to be child safe.
You know what I would do is I would check to see if these mirrors are one-way mirrors or not. But I don't think that 16-year-old, 17-year-old Colin would know that trick. And so I don't think he's going to pay much attention to it. But I will attempt to see just for shits and grins, I will get behind his desk and sit down in his chair and attempt to put one of the guns together just to see if I can.
Sure. Before we like do too much with that, Frankie, you see Colin walk over and looking at the knives, picking one particular up, and just kind of like, where do you conceal it, Colin?
Oh, my pocket.
Okay, sure.
I stick it in my pocket. It's the easiest way.
Yeah, so you see Colin, stick one of the throwing daggers in his pocket, and then sit down in the head honcho's chair and start messing with a gun that happens to be there. What is Frankie doing during this?
Frankie will watch Colin for a moment, and then when he's sitting down, starting to try to put the gun together, she'll just kind of shrug and walk over and stand right smack in the middle of the mirror across from the desk, not behind it, and just stare at the mirror like she's staring into her own eyes.
Sure. And while neither of you have necessarily asked the question, I'm going to have both of you do gaze into the abyss rolls as you look into the mirrors.
Sure. The mirrors that, as a player, are just fucking creepy. Because nobody could stand sitting in a room like that for any extended period of time. That's crazy.
You kidding me? I'd love it.
That's crazy.
This is a dark roll. So Frankie, that'll be a -1, and Colin, that will be a +2, right?
I don't remember what it is.
Walk away. You never know what any of those other U's is going to do.
I think it's just keep cool. That gives me. Yeah, keep your cool. I get to add 2 to stuff, but not that yet.
Okay.
I'll get dark. If I fail this roll, I'll get Howl at the Moon, which will give me a dark 3.
Okay, so first Colin. So that is going to be a 7. And what's your bonus to dark?
-1.
-1. Okay, so that 7 turns into a 6. Congratulations. You gain experience.
Great. I'm going to take Howl at the Moon, which lets me act as if I have a dark 3 when it's night.
Sure. And actually, that I'm not going to apply that right now to that roll, but I will say that there is something rather thematically on point about the fact that you unlock the ability to gain dark 3 at night while gazing into the infinity of yourself in the mirrors.
That makes sense.
Like, and going forward, I don't know to what degree Colin will make that like connection, but that connection is there.
Sure. This is a hell of a night. Everything important that's happening in his life is happening this night. So makes sense.
Well, except for that, first hookup with Cordelia.
Right. Since then.
Okay. And I think my notes are a little bit off. Frankie, what is your dark?
2.
+2? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think for dark and volatile, I wrote with both of them, 2 of you have a +2 and 2 of you have a -1. And I think I got those switched in my notes.
Sure.
So +2?
Yep.
Okay, so it is going to be a 7 on the die, +2 bumps it up to a 9. The abyss shows you confusing and alarming visions, but you get your answer nonetheless. So, Colin, as you're gazing through, it just kind of like overwhelming. Like it's not like you looked into these mirrors and there's nothing. It's like you can tell that there is something going on and that you are seeing parts of yourself that you were unfamiliar with, but it's just overwhelming and unnerving. Frankie,
How overwhelming and unnerving.
like not so much that you can automatically say like this is some magic bullshit, but enough that like if you were sober, maybe you could. You're not. This might be the liquor hitting you again.
Okay. There is a level of overwhelming and unnerving where something might get thrown at the mirror to break it,
Okay.
but
Sure.
it's a pretty high threshold.
Sure. Well, we'll resolve that in just a sec. Whether or not you
Sure.
do that. Because there is some interesting angles there. Frankie. As you look into the mirror, the abyss shows you confusing and alarming visions, but you get your answer nonetheless. As like the first reflection of Frankie is Frankie, right? The second reflection of Frankie is Frankie. The third reflection is Frankie. But with the fourth and fifth and sixth, things start shifting and you become less recognizable. And there's a moment like the most identifiable one, like there's a moment where like in one of the reflections it almost looks like somebody had taken a photo of you and a photo of Toddy and had kind of like averaged them.
Interesting.
And you see like versions of you that like have overlap with other people that you've known, and including some that you would never expect. But as it reaches a certain, like each iteration is more and more amorphous and more hard to define, until eventually you get to this point in the reflections where like rather than seeing you as like a corporeal form, there is just this like completely amorphous light, like halo. Like your clothes are still identifiable, but the flesh and blood you is almost like a trippy disco ball, right? And or actually no, it's more like a lava lamp, right? So there are these sections of color that like separate and then combine and are swirling around each other in space. And like there is a degree of like just like, you know that this is saying something, and like that this is some serious magical shit, right? And the most striking part about that is as the the shapes and the colors shift around, there is the sense that they can become anything.
Cool.
So, and Colin, you were debating throwing something at the at the um, at the mirror. Actually, here's a question, Frankie.
Yes.
Does Colin, like, Colin didn't see anything too particular about himself. It was all like a mess and confusing. Does Colin see the same thing that you do about you? I'll let you make that call.
Oh. I guess that depends on whether or not he takes a minute. If he stops working on the gun and looks to see what she's doing and actually focuses his eyes on it, he'll see it for a minute.
Okay.
Whether or not he'll recognize it for what it is, I don't know, but he'll see that there's definitely something weird going on with her reflections in the mirror.
Okay. So, Colin, the ball is in your court. How much do you divert your gaze from your own jumbled reflection to Frankie?
Everything's super confusing
Mhm.
and awkward. So if I can, I'm going to try to just divert my gaze down to the gun,
Okay.
finish putting it together. If the mirror is so entrancing that I can't, then I'll see it.
Okay. Since you are both putting binary splits in the path, I'm going to roll the dice on this one.
The mirror gets to roll.
The mirror gets to roll. And let's see, a low roll, the mirror doesn't entrance you in that way, and Colin looks down. A high roll, the mirror does do the thing. Okay, just on the other side of just barely on the other side of a low roll. So yeah, Colin, you like, it is not quite as overwhelming as it could have been. Like, you are not, it's not like that shot in the Dark Crystal where the Gelfling can't look away. Like, it's not that severe, but it is really, really, like, you would have to try to, like, not pay at least a little attention. And you move to look down, but it's that thing where, like, as you're looking down at the gun, you can't help but, like, look back up. And as you look back up, whatever confusion there was about your own reflection, like, it's almost like you don't see a reflection at this point. You just see Frankie's reflection doing this weird lava lamp thing.
That's a weird fucking mirror, man. This guy's fucking weird. And I'm just gonna be making sure the barrel gets in right. I am nervous and awkward in this place, and the idea of having a working gun seems like a great idea to me.
Sure. So that's the last thing that we're going to see of Colin for that scene, as he is trying to put this gun together. And you get to feel that. Chris, what's that?
Individual bullets out.
Uh-huh.
This shit right here. I don't freaking. People are weird.
Yeah, you get the feeling that this gun has been disassembled and reassembled far more often than it's been shot. So that's the last thing that we're going to see of Colin. Frankie, you, like, Colin has in fact seen this, and if you want to, you can be aware that Colin has seen it. But either way, you have been confronted with this magical capacity to shift. What do we see Frankie do?
kind of cocks her head to one side and reaches out and starts like taps on one of the other amalgams
Uh-huh.
of herself.
Okay. The the way that I'm seeing that, in true, like, if this is the end of the episode, the cut to black is just the moment before you make contact with the mirror, like,
Cool.
and then like a very, very sudden. And it's one of those things where, like, the cut, because of the angle of the shot, it feels like the movement should keep going, and so when it cuts to black, there is this kind of like emotional momentum that just like
Fabulous.
and that's where we'll end the session tonight.
Oh,
Cool.
awesome.
All right,
All right.
and I will stop the recording.